to Survivor Calgary All-Stars episode 7. Episode 7 is the second episode after the merge. Krish, how are you, and what did you think of that episode?
I'm doing great. The episode was good. I love how it started off with the group of them talking about Sid's idol, and Sid being like, no, Malone definitely has it. I made him feel really safe. I really thought that was funny.
Do you think I didn't do a good enough job making Malone feel safe? Is that why you're doubting it?
It was a really great way to start the episode. Just remind everyone where Sydney's at in case we forgot, which I'm sure no one has. But
yeah, after that vote, it very much seems like lines have been drawn, and there is like a very large sort of line around the original Phoenix plus Shervin, and then Cole is sort of the next in line, and then it's Evan, Sean, and Robin.
Yeah,
it's sort of how it feels at this point in time, based off of how everybody's feeling. Although, to some degree, this can change as easily as it did on Evan and Sean after this episode.
I also wasn't expecting that. I can tell you that also.
Yeah, it seemed like there was some concern about duos here. And so Evan and Sean were the next duo to be eliminated after they had eliminated the duo/trio of Cole, Robin, and Malone. They're not too worried about the Malone of the duos in their own group, though, namely Cam and Taylor. Although it's still up in the air on how much people are even aware that duo is a thing.
Yeah, I honestly like it doesn't seem like anyone's talking about that duo. It completely under the radar, but you know that they're as tight as thieves.
We get some sort of solidification of where everybody is, and then we go into what's going to ruin all of that solidification. Touchy subjects, Krish.
Literally the worst challenge to participate in.
It is basically making a decision to vote every 20 seconds. It's great. I love it.
It's great to watch. If you're not there, it's amazing.
Now, we got some updates to the Touchy Subjects Challenge this season. If people have watched previous seasons of Survivor Calgary, we used to use water balloons. There were quite a few problems with the water balloons that were sort of unexpected. Namely, sometimes the water balloons didn't explode. Sometimes people would miss with their water balloons. Sometimes people would get concussions. And we'll have the person who suffered that in season 2 joining us later today. Cam will be. And so we thought, you know what, let's switch it to water guns, but let's also give the Edge little tiny water guns so they can sort of gang up on whoever is being shot.
I really like the addition of the Edge coming by and just absolutely soaking everyone. Except for Jackson. His rain jacket apparently did a really good job.
Although you could definitely, I don't quite believe the no drops thing, because you could see some Edge people like going around and trying to drip it down, and his hat definitely was not dry. But we'll see about that later on. Some interesting developments from this Touchy Subjects Challenge. Sort of unsurprisingly, Robin, Evan, and Sean being sort of the first eliminated. But what was sort of interesting to players coming out of it was who after that was eliminated in sort of what order. Notably, Craig was eliminated far earlier than he would have liked to be, and Cole lasted a lot longer than people were necessarily expecting.
Yeah, I was really surprised about Cole more than anyone lasting past. Like, I thought Cole was the next one out after Evan, Sean, and Robin. But I don't know how much that is him having made good inroads or just him being less of a target for everyone else during the challenge.
It could be sort of what also is being discussed as people are going through this process, which is people in the in-group are very much setting up for the future. And I think a lot of people want Cole to be that future for them. They want Cole to be that fourth in this internal group of 3 that they're imagining, or they want Cole to be a fifth in an internal group of 4 they're imagining. Or
Cole's I think after this, Cole's in a weirdly good position. Especially
minus what happened at Tribal.
I know he threw the idol away, but this may end up helping him a little bit because he doesn't have an idol, so that might take a little bit of like the target away from him and may allow him to integrate into those groups a little bit easier.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I just like a misplayed idol is still a misplayed idol, man.
just trying to give all the perspectives, okay? Maybe it'll help.
We then get into a section after this challenge where people are dealing with the aftermath of this. And the outsiders, as Shervin likes to call himself one of, I don't know if that's necessarily true given his position in the game right now. But the outsiders are maybe looking at going after Jackson, it seems like here. And that group being Cole, Evan, Shervin, Sean, and Robin, I believe, is sort of the group here. And they're hoping to get a group of 5, which would be majority in this vote, to all vote for Jackson as a blind side. It does not look like it actually went all that far.
No, I think that it looks like they put the effort in. They tried to float the ideas. They tried to get like the numbers on board, but I don't think that anyone is really budging on that.
Yeah, and my guess of the barriers based off of what we saw is that Cole and Shervin were sort of the people who are like, yeah, let's not do this.
Yeah, and they'd be they
are the people with the most to lose doing this, and they're decided it's not worth doing it.
Exactly. Robin, Sean, and Evan had nothing else to do but make this play, whereas Cole and Sherwin are trying to make it further into the game, like looking past this one vote.
Yeah, it is an interesting position for Evan to be in, especially where he's now working with Robin and Cole again, or at least trying to. As he continues to get more votes, he somehow isn't eliminated, but ends up with like 7 votes this tribal council, purely off of revote statistics. So that record is climbing, baby.
It's like that, like the jackpot number on the slot machine. Keeps ticking up.
Yeah, he somehow got an extra spin from this one with the revote.
Yeah.
And an interesting thing here is that it's very clear based off of the voting that Evan voted for Sean, and Sean did not vote for Evan. Sean thought the plan was still going on based off of the final confessional.
And that's what saved Evan.
Yeah. That, and then a switch from somebody after in, which we might be able to talk to with our guest today. However, we are going to quickly talk about one more thing, which is Robin's shot in the dark and Cole's idol play. We sort of touched on it already. What did you think about these 2 moves from them?
I don't blame Robin for playing her shot in the dark at all. I was sitting at home thinking that she would be the next one gone. I may be a little biased, seeing as she kicked my butt on my season, but I would have got her out, or like wanted to vote her out there. And I thought that Jackson was pretty gung ho about it too, especially after his answers in the challenge. And then for Cole, I know I was saying that maybe playing his idol would help him, but I wasn't actually very serious about that. I don't think it was the best move, but I think that he might have got spooked a little bit with the challenge. A lot of the answers with like the more negative answers, like who would you like to vote out but can't, was Cole. And then like who does nobody trust or something like that was also Cole.
Well, then he said at the booth as well that he got spooked by either Craig or Jackson's question answering at the tribal itself that said people have made it further than they necessarily should have.
Yeah, in the challenge, right? That's what he was referring to. So yeah, I feel like that whole like challenge definitely like didn't do him any favors.
Yeah. And because of that, he now has no idol. He now has no advantages. He still has a shot in the dark. Unlike Robin, who is now 100% a sitting duck. You don't even necessarily really need to split if you're going for Robin now. Same thing for Evan. Evan also doesn't have a shot in the dark. But
that's what we think, though.
Like, it's true. It's true. Evan could pull out
someone in the forest or something.
Evan has the plot armor advantage, which he can pull out at any time. It's like a super idol. Um,
And then
But-
Cam gets the next advantage, right?
yeah,
For the
Cam
bounty
will
board?
now get the Enduring Ember advantage based off of what we saw on the bounty posters. We don't quite know what that does quite yet. That will be explained partially next episode. And speaking of Cam, let's bring him in for some questions. Hello, Cam. How are you?
Hey guys, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me back.
How did you feel about that episode?
Oh, it was really good. It's like so much happens that you kind of forget about when you know it's been so long.
Mhm.
One of those confessionals not confessionals, one of those chats in particular is the one with Robin where she joins our group and then all of us one by one kind of make an excuse to leave, and like watching that back, I was like, ooh, fuck, I hated doing that. It's hard to watch back.
The unfortunate counterplay to the meta developed in season 2 that Moira spearheaded, which was don't let anyone talk if you're not in the group. Is that people will avoid talking with you in a group.
Very good episode though. Forgot some of the questions that were asked. So like watching touchy subjects back, like watching me shoot my 2 closest allies out there, I was like, I remember doing that, but
it's how you get a necklace around your neck, baby.
Yeah, it's probably better to go for the people you trust. I know when we were out there, I told Sid to shoot me, and then she shot me twice, which I was like, I said once. Like, come on, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
She could have gone for a third.
Yeah, I honestly, maybe that's why she never, in the end, just didn't want to be the one to take out all 3 of my lives back to back. But there's a lot of like background strategy with these challenges that you don't really see as well, which is you can kind of, as you're watching, you get like a little idea, especially in a game like Touchy Subjects where you can see like who's going for who and who's not.
You have now won 2 immunities in a row immediately after coming back from the Edge.
Yeah.
And Tom was not afraid to make a note of this, comparing you to Timothy in season 1. Are you nervous about a reputation you might be gaining at this point?
I definitely was. I think I even in the tribal council, I say something like, I'm getting more scared the more you talk about it. I say something along those lines. Out there, I had a lot of good trust, and I was trying to work essentially all sides because the way I was taken out of the game, nobody betrayed me. So I came in very open to working with pretty much every single player. So even though I was winning these challenges and I knew I was starting to like appear as more of a challenge threat in the game, I kind of wasn't too worried that if I were to lose a challenge, which obviously I won't at this point, but I wasn't too worried if I did. I was like, I think it gave me enough time to socially integrate after coming back from the Edge to feel a little bit more comfortable with these first 2 wins.
And you also earned your bounty this episode. You had your bounty set on Sean, and Sean was eliminated. Now, we might see a bit of how this actually happened in the next episode, but feel free if you have to spoil the first 3 episodes or the first 3 minutes of the episode or whatever. What sort of went behind getting this split vote done on Sean and Evan together such that it was a tie, and then having a switch over to have Sean be the person eliminated instead of Evan?
Yeah, so from what I remember, the conversations I was having, I knew there was this talk of a Jackson vote, and I wanted Sean out, but I was also getting the vibe out there, and I'm not sure if this is true. I kind of thought it was based off where they voted, but I kind of figured that Sydney and Craig didn't want me to get my bounty. I heard that Craig was a little bit worried that I was gaining a bit of power in the game after that immunity win from somebody. I think it was Cole who mentioned it to me. So I was a little bit worried about that and that they would try to prevent me from getting this bounty. And when I run off that conversation, I go talk to Evan in the distance and you see me like walking away with Evan. That was me essentially telling him like, hey, like you can do whatever you want out here, but I'm telling you what the plan is right now. And it's a split between you and Sean. And I'm making sure you stay in the game. And that was kind of my pitch to Evan. I was like, you can try to do something different. And if you do, just let me know and maybe I'll jump ship with you. But as of right now, this is what I think's happening. And your best bet is to vote for Sean. And then I also let Robin at Tribal Council, I whisper to her, I was like, she asked me, she pulls me aside. She's like, Cam, do I need to play by Sean in the dark? And I tell her, no, don't do that, but vote Sean and you'll be safe. Because I'm really trying to push this bounty to get so I can claim it. I also tried to make Cole a bit more comfortable. He probably knows I'm a little bit more of a sketchier player based off our history and games together. So I can understand why he didn't fully believe me or know really what was going on, or if I knew essentially what was happening.
He should have known you weren't going to betray him because you weren't at the voting booth for 5 minutes.
Yeah, there's that too. I knew exactly what I wanted. I wrote down the name. It was only 4 letters, like super easy to get out. So that was kind of the vibe I was getting out there. There was a plan for Jackson. I didn't think it was going to happen. I also have a very, very close relationship with Shervin at this point, which is very under wraps. You're not really seeing too much of it, but we're really forming that showmance. Like we're off in the woods alone, like not really filming because we don't want to. It's that
we did see a good amount of it in the merge episode where you two are basically okay. We have to be each other's number ones here.
Yeah. That conversation was probably like a 20-minute talk. And that was the whole merge vote. Was just me and Shervin just talking. We really wasted our time with that. It was. Let's just have very many conversations.
I'm sitting here getting a little more jealous. Talking.
Yeah,
it's like hurting me right in my heart.
And as far as me and Taylor go, like at the start of day 2, I had pulled him aside and I was like, "Listen, don't talk to me that much, and I won't talk to you. Like, we'll fill each other in if something happens, but like, just don't give the vibe that we're working together. Like, keep this more under wraps." I was probably arguably at this point, I was talking more with Shervin, so like Shervin was probably like moving into like my more like number 1 spot with Taylor still like right there. But I was also shooting Taylor in the challenge. So like I was really trying to underplay that relationship. But yeah, so going to that tribal council, I was pretty certain that it was going to be the split vote. The Jackson vote really threw me off, and you can see the reactions of us. I think that was Sean.
That was Sean, yeah.
Yeah, so he essentially voted himself out there, unfortunately, by not voting for Evan. But going to the revote, you can see like me, Shervin, and Taylor are kind of huddled together there. And I need this bounty. And I know that the majority of votes are on Evan at this point. So I look at Shervin. I was like, yo, you have to vote for Sean here. And Shervin has promised Sid and Craig that he would vote for Evan here. And he doesn't want to turn his back on them. He's like, I don't want to risk it. I can't flip my vote. So I whispered to Taylor. I'm like, Taylor, you have to. Like, if you don't do this, if you don't flip your vote right here, then Cole will get his bounty. So I think Taylor like mulls it over. And I don't know what he's going to do when he goes up to the urn. But Taylor last minute, probably on the spot, ends up flipping his vote off of Evan onto Sean. And
I can confirm at the booth he was thinking for a little bit.
Yeah, so like it tips the scale. And I'm not 100%. I think I knew Cole's bounty was Evan there. I know Shervin didn't, because when I told him afterwards, he's like, holy fuck, I would never have voted Evan there if I knew Cole was going to get his bounty. And maybe Taylor didn't as well. So to them, it might not have been a risk. Like, oh, well, Cam can get his bounty later.
Other than Sid, who knew? Other than Sid and you, who knew that Cole's bounty was Evan? Because we saw him tell Sid, and obviously you know. At this point.
Cole had told me that Sid claimed the bounty on Malone. Or no, Cole told me that Sid claimed the bounty while he told me about his bounty. I told him my bounty, obviously, so he confirms that to Sid as well. I probably mentioned to Jackson about Cole's bounty.
Jackson would be kind of okay with Cole getting an advantage. Sid seemed to be totally fine with him getting an advantage over you.
Yeah, like I really do think, even though me and Sid were really close, and like you even see in the merge episode where she talks about how me and Jackson and Taylor are probably her solid core, I think she didn't really want more advantages to start seeping into that core alliance. She wanted to have a majority of the control in there, and I was really getting that vibe from her out there. And she also never confirmed to me about Malone's bounty at that point. I had obviously known about it from others, but I never approached her about it. I didn't really care. I was like, yeah, like I'm fine with her having an idol or 2 that I didn't know about. But
did you suspect her at all for having an idol?
So when I came back into the game, I knew 1,000% that Tim never had it. I knew that Justine never had it. I knew Malone didn't have it because he would have idled Robin where I got idled out, or that's what I fully believed, because Robin was so scared of that tribal council. If Malone had an idol, I was certain that he would have played it at that Robin vote out or my vote out. I knew me and Taylor didn't have it. I knew Jackson didn't have it. So I was very upfront with Taylor and Shervin. I was like, listen, Craig or Sydney has this idol. And I can tell you right now, like, I'm certain on that fact.
It seems to be that is the growing consensus of the people in the know, is that one of Craig or Sid has this me idol at this point.
Yeah, and like
Cole and Jackson independently came to the same conclusion as well.
And like generally, even with this knowledge that I have, I wasn't planning on ever calling him out for it. I didn't care. I trusted Sid and Craig. Like I had pretty good bonds out there. So I was like, even if they play their idols, I wasn't too worried that it would be me because I was trying very, very hard to try to maintain that in the middle aspect where nobody would really target me early on. So like if they had their idols, I was like, yeah, let them have their idols. Like
it seemed to be that this group of 6 really wanted to stay together, but was constantly working out under everything else how they could be best positioned when that group of 6 inevitably does collapse.
Yeah.
Because 6 people don't win Survivor.
It's pretty hard. Like you can see me and Shervin in the merge. They give a little flashback with me and Shervin were the ones that filled Cole in on the merge vote where we pull him aside, and that's why he votes out Malone there. Me and Shervin had warned him that rather than a power couple, it was like a power trio. So we give him that heads up, and you can kind of see in one of Taylor's confessionals that Cole is trying to work something with me and Taylor. So you get all these.
Seems like he's also trying to work on the Sid aspect of things too.
Yeah. So like everybody, you can definitely tell that there's different groups. I can't really pinpoint. I don't want to like name what I think right now because I was out there, so I have a bit more information on what was happening at this point. But you can definitely tell that there's different groups. Like I'm obviously close with Taylor and Shervin. There's Jackson who feels close with Sid and me at this point. Like you can definitely see each person kind of trying to figure out who in this bigger group they can work with and how they can try to position themselves better. Yeah.
How much of the switch over from from Evan to Sean was getting the bounty, and how much, and keeping it away from Cole sort of by extension, and how much of it was getting another number that you might be able to work with come the explosion of the core 6?
So honestly, I think it was. I really wanted that bounty. At this point, I knew there was a lot of advantages out there. I kind of thought Taylor had my back for sure. So I was like, well, at least I got a friend who's got one of the idols in here. So like, there's something that I have at least a little bit of say in how it could be used. So I wanted something for myself, but at the same time, a little bit that hasn't been shown yet is me and Evan had started forming a really good bond when I come back in the game. He pretty much apologized. I told him don't apologize for making a really good move. I wasn't bitter at all about his idol play. And he was just really mature about it. And I think he respected how mature I was about it as well. And he was not somebody I wanted out. Like I wanted him to stick around. I liked his story to that point. I was like,
you weren't someone he necessarily wanted out either until like once he knew he had to play the idol, right?
Yeah. And like he even told me, he's like, I regret the second I thought I figured out something was going on. He wished he wrote any other name down. I was like, yeah, I wish he did that too. I mean, all things considered, hindsight, kind of good thing that it happened because I got to go in the merge, made all the connections that I wanted to make, and nobody was really mad at me. So it
got to avoid a lot of that Yeti bloodshed.
Yeah, the Yeti explosion with that Eric, like all that was avoided. So like, not terrible that I was idled out since I got back in. But yeah, losing Evan was not something I wanted this early on. I feel like I voiced that to Shervin and Taylor, and they were not having it. They were like, no, this guy needs to go out. And I'm not going to push too hard for certain things. Like, I got my core alliance at this point, and there wasn't no point really to try to push too hard, but I ended up having some sway in it in the end.
Makes sense. Chris, do you have any questions for Cam?
No, not right now.
I think we covered pretty much everything this episode. Cam, do you have anything you want to say before we take off tonight and figure out a player of the week?
Probably covered everything at this point. The only regrets I really have from this episode is I should have been more vocal to Cole when he stood up to play that idol. I didn't want him to play it. That was another thing where that was somebody, if I could have stopped him from playing that idol, that could just build huge trust between us. And there was obviously like the little bit of wavering trust at that point where he wasn't sure if he could trust me. But yeah, everything else kind of liked how the episode went down for me there.
Well, thank you very much for joining us, Cam. We'll get into our final discussion of the episode here.
All right. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, Krish, as Cam goes off drinking. Who is I can give you a short list for player of the episode again.
Sure, let's do it.
Okay, I think one of the candidates who survived a very tricky situation was Evan. It takes guts to hear, hey, this is how the plan is actually going, and flipping away from your blindside plan and actually go for one of your best allies to stay in. That's a hard decision to make and one that he survived because of. And I think the other person who we have to name here is Cam, who, as we just heard from this discussion, was the one who organized the switch up from Evan being eliminated to Sean, securing him both a loyal person who's still more loyal to him than Sean was, as well as the Enduring Ember advantage.
Yeah, so I think Evan did a really good job managing to vote the correct way to keep him safe. But I'd have to give player of the episode to Cam, because Evan wouldn't have voted that way without Cam first filling him in. And then at the tribal council, as Cam just filled us in on the revote, he kind of managed to get Taylor to swing so that he'd win the bounty Enduring Ember award or reward.
It does look like this core 6 is now very openly navigating what it's going to look like when it falls apart. And I'm very interested to see which side of this core 6 sort of wins out.
Yeah, I my dark horse prediction is Cole is for Cole. I don't know. The more the season goes on, the more I get a feeling that like he's positioned himself pretty well. The idol today wasn't ideal, but I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
If it wasn't for the idol play, I would have had him in the short list too.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, anything else you want to say about this episode, or any other predictions you have for the rest of the game, Krish, before we head off for tonight?
Nah, money is still on Sydney. 2 idols. People still don't know the me idol, but
still generally trust her. Yeah.
She lasted quite long in the challenge, so.
Well, thank you everybody for joining us tonight. That is all for Survivor Calgary All-Stars Fire and Ice episode 7. We will see you same time next week for episode 8, which should be a good one.